My wife said. It wasn't a big deal. I replied. Here's the definition of gaslighting. Then I quietly opened a separate bank account, sent her boss an anonymous email about inappropriate employee relationships, and put a retainer down with the best divorce lawyer in town. I just smiled, because she doesn't know I found the second phone she kept hidden in her car. Original post: I am 42 years old and my wife, Sarah, is 38. We have been together for 7 years, married for 3. I have a son from a previous relationship who Sarah has helped me raise. Our life has always felt stable, if a little predictable. The foundation of our relationship, I thought, was honesty. But I have learned that Sarah has a unique definition of honesty. She operates on a system of omissions. If she decides a piece of information is not important, it ceases to exist in her version of the truth. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. About 2 years ago, our marriage hit a rough patch. She had found out I was watching porn and felt deeply betrayed. I owned it, we talked about it, and I thought we were working through it. Around that same time, she started talking more about her work. She works in a busy office, and I soon became familiar with her whole cast of characters. I knew about Carol in accounting, Mike from marketing, the gossip, the projects, everything. Then one day at dinner, she was talking about Christmas presents for my son. She casually mentioned, "My friend Jonathan gave me some good advice on which Xbox to buy." The name stopped me cold. In 2 years of hearing about her work life, the name Jonathan had never come up. "Who's Jonathan?" I asked. "Oh, just a guy from work," she said, quickly changing the subject. It was the way she said it, a dismissive flick of the wrist, that set off alarm bells. It felt like an omission. Later that night I pushed. I asked her why, if I knew the names of her entire team. I had never heard of this man who was apparently close enough to her to be giving gift advice for my son. She got defensive immediately. "It's not relevant," she said. "He's just a work friend." I explained that it felt relevant to me. I told her that a boundary for me in our marriage was transparency. I was not comfortable with her having a secret friendship, especially one that involved personal details about our family. I asked her to please keep her conversations with him strictly professional. She called me jealous and unreasonable, but after a long, tense argument, she reluctantly agreed. Of course, that was a lie. Over the next 2 years it became a sick, repeating cycle. She would slip up and mention his name, I would confront her. And she would admit she had never stopped talking to him because she didn't agree with my boundary. Each time, she would insist there was no attraction, that it was not a big deal, and that I was the one with the problem. She would gaslight me, turn my past mistakes against me, and then give me the silent treatment for days. The foundation of our marriage was not just cracked, it was crumbling. I needed more than her lies. I needed the truth. A few weeks ago, she left her car with me, while she took a rideshare to a work event. I needed to get the insurance card from the glove compartment. As I fumbled around under the owner's manual, my fingers brushed against something hard and rectangular. It was a cheap, pre-paid burner phone. I did not turn it on. I did not have to. I just put it back, my heart pounding a slow, cold rhythm. I finally had my proof. The omission was a lie, and the lie was much bigger than I ever imagined. Update 1 for 3 days. The knowledge of the burner phone sat in my gut like a stone. Every interaction with Sarah felt like a scene from a play. She would smile, ask about my day, and talk about her work, carefully omitting the name Jonathan. The whole time, I knew she had a secret life tucked away in the glove compartment of her car. I knew a direct confrontation about the phone would be useless. She would just create a new lie to cover the old one. I needed the contents of that phone. I waited until the weekend. I told her I had noticed a wobble in her front tire, and that I was going to take her car to a friend's garage to have it looked at. She handed me the keys without a second thought. I did not go to a garage. I drove to a quiet park on the other side of town. I took out the burner phone and a portable charger I had brought with me. As the phone powered on, my hands were shaking. It was not locked. The screen lit up with a wallpaper photo I had never seen before, a selfie of her and Jonathan smiling at a restaurant I did not recognize. The message history was a novel of betrayal. 2 years of constant communication. Good morning, beautiful. Text sent before she even said good morning to me. Thinking of you. Messages sent during our family dinners. They complained about their spouses. They shared inside jokes. They made plans for lunches that she had told me were work meetings. It was a fully formed emotional affair. While she insisted to me that it was never physical, their words bordered on romantic, full of longing and what-ifs. I spent an hour in that park, methodically taking pictures of the most damning messages with my own phone. Then I wiped the burner phone, factory reset it, and put it back in the glove compartment. I drove home, the evidence secure on my own device. That night, I sat her down on the living room couch. I did not raise my voice. "Sarah, we need to talk about Jonathan," I said. She rolled her eyes. "I thought we were past this. I told you, I'm not talking to him anymore. I want you to tell me the truth, for once," I said. "The whole truth." She launched into the same tired script. They were just friends. I was being controlling. There was no attraction. She was the victim of my insecurity. I let her finish her entire performance. When she was done, there was a long silence. Then, I took out my phone, opened the photo gallery, and slid it across the coffee table to her. The first picture on the screen was the selfie of her and Jonathan. Her face went white. She swiped to the next picture, a screenshot of a text from him that read, "I wish things were different. I wish it was you I was coming home to." She swiped again and again. Each picture a new nail in the coffin of her lies. When she looked up, her eyes were not filled with remorse. They were filled with pure fury. "You went through my things," she hissed. "You violated my privacy. You violated our marriage." I countered, my voice still quiet. "For 2 years. She did not apologize. She did not cry. She just screamed. She screamed about how I had trapped her, how I had ruined everything by not trusting her. I waited for her to run out of breath. "I want you to pack a bag," I said. "I want you to go to your mother's. I need you out of this house tonight." She left an hour later, still spewing venom, still blaming me for her choices. The truth had not set me free. It had just shown me the true size of my cage. Update 2. The morning after Sarah left, the house was eerily silent. The rage and shock had subsided, replaced by a cold, methodical resolve. She thought this was another fight, another cycle of drama that would end with her wearing me down. She had no idea that I was already taking steps to permanently dismantle the life she had so carelessly betrayed. My first call was to a divorce attorney. I explained the situation, the 2 years of lies, the gaslighting, the burner phone. He gave me a clear list of instructions, and I followed them to the letter. That same day, I opened a new bank account in my name only. I moved half of our joint savings into it and contacted my employer to have my paycheck redirected. I was building a financial firewall. My next step was more delicate. Sarah and Jonathan's affair had been conducted primarily during work hours, on company time. Sarah's company had a strict policy on employee conduct and use of company resources for personal matters. I wrote a short, anonymous email to the head of her human resources department. I kept it professional and vague. "To whom it may concern," I wrote, "I wish to raise a concern about a potentially unprofessional relationship between 2 employees, Sarah a last name, and Jonathan a last name. Their constant personal messaging and phone calls during work hours are creating a distracting and uncomfortable environment for their colleagues. I believe this constitutes a misuse of company time and resources." I did not have to wait long for the fallout. A week later, Sarah called me, hysterical. She and Jonathan had both been called into separate meetings with HR. They were questioned about their relationship and their communication patterns during the workday. With no legitimate work reason for their teams to be interacting, their constant contact was a clear violation of company policy. Jonathan, whose performance had already been slipping, was transferred to a different branch in a city an hour away, effective immediately. Sarah received a formal written warning and was told that any further unprofessional conduct would result in her termination. The affair was over. I had not just exposed it, I had professionally dismantled it. Her work friend was gone. Her justification for their contact was gone. She was publicly humiliated at the one place where she had felt powerful and desired. She had built a fantasy life at her job, and I had used the rules of that same job to tear it down. She tried to spin a narrative to her friends that I was a vindictive monster, but it did not matter. I had taken back control, not through anger, but through a quiet, calculated strategy. Update 3, a month passed in near total silence. The only communication we had was a few terse texts about bills. The divorce proceedings were moving forward. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Her voice was different. The anger and defiance were gone, replaced by a fragile, pleading tone. She asked if we could meet. She said she needed to talk, to apologize properly. I was hesitant, but my lawyer advised that showing a willingness to communicate could be beneficial. I agreed, but I set the terms. We would meet on neutral ground, a coffee shop in a town neither of us lived in. When I saw her walk in, I barely recognized her. She looked tired and worn down. The polished, confident professional was gone. She looked like someone who had been sleeping in a storm. She started with an apology. It was the first real one I had heard from her. She admitted she had lied, that she had been selfish, that she had hurt me in a way that was unforgivable. She said she had been going to therapy, that she was trying to understand why she had done it. She insisted, again, that the relationship was never physical. She said it was an escape, a fantasy that got out of control. She cried as she spoke, not the performative, angry tears from before, but quiet, genuine tears of regret. I know I broke us, she said, her voice barely a whisper. But I want to try to fix it. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll give you all my passwords. I've cut him off completely. Please. Don't throw our marriage away. I listened to every word. A part of me, the part that still remembered the woman I had married, felt a flicker of pity. But it was just a flicker. The rest of me felt nothing but a vast, cold distance. The damage was too deep. The lies were too numerous. When she finished, I took a slow sip of my water. I'm glad you're in therapy, Sarah, I said, my voice even. I hope you figure things out for yourself. But there is no us to fix. Her face fell. What do you mean? The problem wasn't Jonathan, I explained. He was a symptom. The problem is your relationship with the truth. You lied to me every day for 2 years. You built a secret life and you chose it over me, over our marriage. You only confessed when you were caught with undeniable proof. And even then, your first instinct was to attack me. I stood up from the table. I forgive you, I said, and I meant it. But I will never trust you again. And I cannot live in a marriage without trust. The divorce is moving forward. I wish you the best, but our life together is over. I walked out of the coffee shop and did not look back. I left her there, alone with her apology and the consequences she could no longer outrun. Final update: it has been 6 months since the divorce was finalized. Life is quieter now, simpler. The constant anxiety of living with a lie has been replaced by a calm, if sometimes lonely peace. I kept the house. The buyout was fair, and I wanted to maintain a stable home for my stepson. Our co-parenting relationship is civil but distant. We communicate through an app, strictly about his schedule. He splits his time between my house and Sarah's small apartment she rents on the other side of town. He is a good kid, and we are both doing our best to make sure he feels loved and supported. Sarah is still at her job, but I hear it is not the same. Her work friends have kept their distance. The fantasy is gone, leaving only the mundane reality of a job she no longer enjoys. Jonathan and his wife divorced. He is still working at the other branch. Their great emotional escape ended up destroying 2 marriages and 2 careers. I have been focusing on myself. I am in therapy, rebuilding my sense of self-worth. I have reconnected with old friends and picked up new hobbies. I am learning to enjoy my own company again. The guilt I felt about potentially needing an emotional connection with someone else has faded. I realize now that I do not need anyone else to make me feel whole. I just need to be honest with myself. The other day, I was cleaning out my car and found the portable charger I had used to power on the burner phone. I held it in my hand for a moment, thinking about that day in the park, the day the lies finally ended. It felt like a lifetime ago. I thought about Sarah's analogy, about the food falling in the dirt. She was right. You can't just wipe it off and pretend it's the same. The trust, once contaminated, can never be pure again. I tossed the charger into a donation box. I do not need reminders of the past anymore. My life is my own now, built on a new foundation of truth and self-respect. It is not the life I planned, but it is real. And it is enough.